Fast forward button.
3,
Rewind button.
4,
Record button.
5,
Complicated music button.
6,
Long wave button.
7,
Short wave button.
8,
Hey, are you waving at me button?
9.
Pause button.
Final community. It's been a minute. As you can tell from the intro, this is going to be a recap video of 2023, and here we're 6 months into 2024. Well, my video making pace has slowed to a snail's crawl, and I had a little bit of time this week, so I always had the idea of doing this way back in January. So I wanted to, kind of sum up my year, last year, 2023, and share some of the experiences. First and foremost, I got to do a little bit of traveling last year. And anytime I go on a business trip or a family-related trip, time permitting, I like to try and hit up record stores. So I'm going to do a little bit of that. But first and foremost, I did get to visit Kevin Gray's mastering studio. Now, I had a trip in June of last year in Southern California, and the trip ended in Los Angeles. Kevin Gray, being such a gracious host, said, hey, if I'm ever in the area, reach out to him, and he'd be happy to give me a tour of his studio. Why not take him up on that? It was like sonic aura. Anyways, you build up these things in your mind. You don't know what to expect, but his studio is in a very nondescript place in a suburb of California, in his garage. He's built it up himself. I mean, his speakers and everything, he built himself. He's procured equipment from here and there. And he gave Mr. Michael Muller and myself a nice tour of his mastering studio. And next door, he showed me his recording studio, which he has dubbed Hackensack West. Now, why Hackensack West? It's because of Rudy Van Gelder. Rudy Van Gelder, the street that he had his studio on was in Hackensack, New Jersey. And so Kevin Gray is paying homage to Rudy Van Gelder. But I gotta tell you, it's one of those experiences that I'll never forget. There aren't too many sound systems where I've gotten that 3D holographic true image of feeling like you're in the studio with the musicians and listening to his system in his mastering room. It gave me that experience. It was sonic aura.
You want me no, you're the star of the show.
And so Kevin Gray was the most humble host while we were there. I took he and his wife out to dinner afterwards, and we chatted it up for a while. And his wife is just a lovely person. She's a school teacher, and we had a lovely evening. So that was a highlight of 2023 for me. But it didn't end there. I got up to Seattle next, and I got to visit Mr. Norman Maslov, and also a gracious host. Not only did I get to experience and perform a whack-a-mole, he also took me to a Beck concert, and we got kind of we were up near the top, but we got bumped down, and we were on the floor. And seeing Beck for the first time was just a wonderful experience. I got to see Sir Chloe, which was one of my favorites from 2023 with her new album. And yeah, meeting Norman Maslov and some of the cast of characters and Kimbo for the first time. And, him taking his time to show me different record stores was just a wonderful experience. I did pop up to Vancouver for a little bit with my family. I did see the outside of a record store in Gastown that looked really, really cool, but I didn't have time to go in, unfortunately, and it was closed by the time we got there. So that was unfortunate, but I'm hoping I can get back to Vancouver soon. And the funny thing is like a month later, I was on the other side of Canada in Montreal, and I got to meet with Kieran, the Needlegroove, who's been making videos, specifically jazz. We started making videos about the same time, and I just love Kieran's videos because he's really into jazz, and he was also a good host, and we went out to dinner and had poutine. So yeah, travel experiences in 2023, meeting Kieran, Mazzy, and getting to experience Kevin Gray's studio were the highlights. There were a few more people I wish I could have met in Los Angeles, other VCers. I wanted to hook up with Eve, Miss Lady Soul, in Montreal, but unfortunately with my work party it didn't work out. So travel experiences in 2023, I don't think I'm going to be able to top it. I did support my local record store this year. They had their 10th anniversary. I actually shot a bunch of footage inside, and I wanted to do a video shortly afterwards, but again, work got in the way and I was unable to do it. So I am splicing in some clips here. I like my local record store, which is Sweet Spot Audio. It's a 15-minute drive away, and I like that ability to access used records, within a short drive. I feel pretty fortunate because not everybody has that, but I am in a bigger city, which I do have a variety of offerings, but they're a little more of a further drive away, but I do like the 15-minute drive to my local record store. Now, when I do my buying, I would say half of what I pick up in a given year are new releases. I do like a lot of new music, but I also like a lot of reissues and, of course, used records. I did want to highlight some of the reissues that I did purchase. Of course, I picked up all the Tone Poets, but they've been featured so many times by so many people. MoFi Gate did not dissuade me. I know some of you are probably cringing right now. I get it. Not everybody's a Van Halen fan. I grew up with them. The first record I ever purchased with my own money was a Van Halen record, so part of this is nostalgia and my love of the band, and that's why I picked up this one. Next is Mel Brown's Chicken Fat. This is a Third Man record reissue, and I gotta say it's really, really good. The quality of the packaging and the presentation is not that of a Tone Poet or Acoustic Sounds, but Mel Brown, funk jazz, a little bit of blues in it, B3, Hammond B3 organist, just fantastic. I heard an original at my local record store, and before I could even say, hey, I'd like to pick that up, somebody else grabbed it from me, so I went for the Third Man record reissue. Lastly is an Italian reissue of the group called Gabin. Now I know a lot of people are probably not familiar with Gabin. They're house lounge from circa 2000. I really dig their sound. I had this on CD. I wasn't expecting a vinyl issue of this, and when I saw it, I had to get it. Every year, I have a tendency to do a deep dive on a particular artist. It's either one that I just discover or one that I intentionally go and seek out. Last year, my discovery was Too Many DJs with this album, as heard on Radio Silvax 2. Too Many DJs, if you're not familiar with them, they are a DJ mashup group. I knew of them beforehand, but I'd never bothered to really look into anything that they had done. I discovered this on a late night weekend sampling session, which is something I frequently do, by the way. And I heard the mashup between Iggy Stooges and Salt and Pepper, and I had to have this record.
Baby, 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 baby. Push it good. Well, come on. Well, push it good. Well, come on.
Now, this has some 40 odd tracks on it, and I'm just amazed that they got the licensing rights to actually put this out. So you might be asking, well, where's part 1? Well, they have 12 volumes in total. This is the only one that has been put out officially, and I was just amazed. But I liked it so much, I wanted to see what was out there, and you know, they have 12 volumes, and they're all kind of illegitimate. And they do samples of Led Zeppelin and the Beatles on some of the CDs, and I just can never see them getting the licensing rights to put those out. Now, I picked up all 12 volumes, and then I ran into a problem. Turns out that, you know, a lot of these that were put out by the band were on CDRs, and when I got Volume 4 and a couple others, I ran across a lot of diginoise and a lot of skipping. And so I'm pretty good at buffing out scratches on a disc. I can get it so you get like a pristine bottom. And even after that, I still had diginoise, and I did a little more investigative work, and it turns out that this label that they use, the adhesive, eats into the top data layer. And so I wasted money. Fortunately, I did find a website where you could download the entire album, so I got to hear them to some degree. So that was really the artist I did a deep dive in 2023. Every year I have a tendency to buy at least one single, if not a little bit more. On the digital side, definitely a little bit more, but I prefer having a physical copy of something. One of my top artists from the early, well, probably around 2010 or so, has been the artist Payphone. And Payphone is a house artist, and they put out a single with this lady, Kid Nirida. And I just fell in love with this track. I Feel You. I love her voice.
I feel you in my bones when I'm all alone. I try to play it cool when I'm next to you. I feel you in my bones.
And I was curious, did she do anything else? And I looked her up, and for good or bad, she is an adult film actress. But regardless, I still love the single. There was another single that I discovered when I made my trip to Canada by Iskway, and she has a whole series of great music. It's available on Bandcamp. She had this song called I Get High that was playing on Canadian radio.
Always and now it seems a cat has got your tongue. The only other battle left for us is one to overcome. I'm sitting here and thinking how instead I should be rolling one. So let's get high.
For the love of God, if she ever sees this, I would love a physical copy of that single at least. But she's done a lot of other great work, and you know, this song really hit it for me. Every year I do something a little bit drastic with the collection, or I buy a new piece of gear, which I try and do a review on. In 2023, I actually did my first big purge of my collection. I had a case where I had records running onto the floor. I had no more shelf space, and I hate it when things start to look cluttered. I'm not a big fan of clutter. And so that made me realize I really need a purge, especially because I keep buying more music, of course. And I purged 300 records from my collection, and this year I may actually purge some more. Another thing that I have fun doing is I like to go to other countries and listen to some of the radio stations online. I also like to see what else is popular in other countries. I'm a big fan of a lot of French music, and one of my international discoveries this past year, has been Corinne with her album R. The cover got me, and I really, when I saw the cover, I'm like, what's this about? And I had to check it out. And it's decent French pop. So if you're not into French pop, it may not be your bag, but I enjoyed it, and she has some wonderful videos to go along with this too.
On court toujours, sans aucun regard pour celui qui t'aidera le jour où tu tomberas. Alors pose-toi un peu, écoute même si tu peux, le bruit, le vent, les feuilles, le chant d'une terre en deuil. Sous le bitume les fleurs, sous l'amertume les pleurs, petite perle de...
Biggest disappointment of 2023 by far were the Tom Waits reissues. I don't blame Tom for these. I blame UME, Universal, and Island. The hype sticker says coming from the original analog source, but doesn't everything come from an original source when you get right down to it? If you read through the credits, it says the mastering was done by Bernie Grundman, but the vinyl was cut by somebody else. And I do not think they knew how to cut vinyl. Moreover, this album goes over 50 minutes, and I run into problems with 90s vinyl because a lot of the music coming out in the 90s was really centered towards the CD, and the CD could exceed about 44 minutes in length. It was going, I mean, your CDs can go up to close to 80 minutes in length, and that allowed the artist to expand. And in this case, this album came out in 92. My CD copy sounds way better than this, and this is one that you could really put on 3 sides of a record to make it sound good, but no, they had to take all these records, probably master them from digital sources or use digital sources, which, to me, I'm indifferent about it, but using that to cut the lacquer, and these just sound tinny, thin, and veiled. Anymore, I'm trying to avoid going for pre-orders of new albums from artists because the past 4 or 5 years I've really been disappointed by a lot of output. But one of the ones that I did this past year was Swans with their album The Beggar. I love the Swans' previous 3 albums to this. This one was just a real challenge to listen to, and I mean all the Swans records from the past decade or so, they can go up to 2 hours in length, and this one, I listened to it a few times and I couldn't latch on to anything. So anymore, I am very cautious about doing a pre-order from any artist, and this one was a disappointment for me. Every year I buy at least one compilation, and with the dwindling space, I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep that up, but I am a fan of the Late Night Tales series. If you're not familiar with Late Night Tales, they're kind of self-described as the Rolls-Royce of compilations, and what I like about a lot of these compilations is they find either obscure songs that I'm not familiar with or songs from artists which I do not want to buy the whole album. Of Groove Armada has this thing about yacht rock, and the other nice thing about the Late Night Tales is they asked the original artist to do a cover version of a song that they really love. But anyway, this one has like several great songs on it, and I just love the mix. One of the ones like Ace's How Long from the 70s. I don't care to buy a full album from Ace. I just want that song. It has Marvin Gaye, Tammy Terrell, Peter Bjorn and John, The Cure. I love these records. I love the entire series. If you go out to Bandcamp, you can sample them all. I can't recommend doing that enough. So I'm always continuing to find new things that were released in 2023. In fact, I think I just got one this week that was from 2023. But there are albums that, you know, I got in 2024 that are 2023 albums that I want to spend more time with. One of the more recent ones is this one by the Psychedelic Porn Crumpets with their album Franzoli. If you're not familiar with the Psychedelic Porn Crumpets, they're in the vein of King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. Psych band, of course. Probably not, I wouldn't say to the same caliber, but not all their albums are as consistent. But I found this one, after listening to it 2 or 3 times, just really, really great to listen to. And I love the cover. The cover is kind of humorous, so check this one out. Thank you, vinyl community. If you made it this far, I'm always amazed that people would want to watch my videos, to be quite honest. But I hope I made it entertaining for you. I'm hoping that, you know, in this current window, I might be able to eke out maybe one more video, maybe 2. I got a bunch of ideas for videos. I got some more sound comparison ones that, you know, I've actually recorded the music for, so we can do some pressing compares. But yeah, I'm hoping I can maybe eke out another video here in a week or 2. But if you made it this far, thank you for watching. I do appreciate it, and I'll catch you next time.
I know you wanna do it. You know I wanna do it too.